Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. This platform was built by Sparkies for Sparkies. We simply exist to make business owners more profitable, or businesses more profitable and more predictable. So we want to work with people that work hard because we love working hard too, that work smart because you got to be on top of the business, people that are kind because no one likes a dickhead. Am I right? People who want results because that's what we're here for, right? And people who want to be part of a like-minded community. So if you're interested in hearing more about the platform, please reach out and enjoy the podcast. All right, part 2 of our Taking Back Control series, which might even be called Taking Back Sunday if you're into that punk rock. Are they punk rock? Kind of emo rock.
Emo punk, ska, bit of...
They're not ska. Taking Back Sunday. They're like... They're
maybe that emo punk from the night. If that era.
Yeah. Did Dashboard Confessional, bit of Taking Back Sunday, whatever you're into. It's all
Simple
good.
Plan, Blink 182, favorite band of all time.
Great band. This is interesting because I feel like we talked about doing a bit of a time audit and 100% going through and reading that book, Buy Back Your Time, which is a fantastic book. And I think you can learn so much from reading. I would highly encourage everyone to read. Thinking about starting a book club. If you're interested, reach out. I'd love to sort of, I feel like I've been reading a lot in the past year. I think it's helped me personally, professionally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. Insert superlative here. so
good. And in LY.
Yeah, if it ends in LY, it helped me, right? Literally, figuratively.
Oh, so good.
Okay, but here's the thing. Now, one of the most common mistakes people make is that they audit their time on a week that is like not a normal week. So great example is this. If you're behind on invoicing, it's the greatest example, right? Let's say I have 10 hours of invoicing a week and I'm behind. So you can pretty much double that. For every week you're behind, the 10 hours turns into 20 hours, 20 turns into 40, because when you're looking at what materials you used 2 months ago on a job, or where was Joey on the 4th of July, or where was I on the 5th of July, you are fully cooked. Like there's no worse feeling than trying to remember where you or someone was 6 weeks ago. There's no worse feeling than trying to send a variation bill that the client is unsure about, not expecting it, didn't see it coming. There's just nothing worse. So, but when you're organized, clinical, on top of things, you can be relatively predictable. Now, we know we live in an unpredictable world because we are in the service industry, and you are servicing. That's your job, is to service your industry. So don't complain about people wanting your service, because there's going to be people that need something done today, need something done yesterday, need something done in 2 months, need something done in 6 months. The goal is to be profitable across all those styles of work. And the goal is to be able to service that while still moving the train forward, and the train's running at a particular speed. So there's so much your week can tell you. Your week can tell you how much work roughly comes in every single week, how much emergency work comes in every single week, how much office time there is every single week, how many phone calls to a certain extent you or someone is getting every single week. Your business is screaming data and detail at you. The big question is, are you listening? Or have you stopped at the station to listen? And this might even be called Stop at the Station, because I feel like wherever you're at, you need to stop and catch up. So just make sure that when you start auditing your week, it's a normal, inverted commas, normal week, right? Laser, using this laser. Sharks with freaking laser beams. Using this normal week with laser beams, that's what you want to reference. So, and I think so many times people feel like they're behind. A really common thing recently for me has been catching up with our members, and I'm so behind. And then you go, okay, what's it going to take to catch up? What is it? And I got to do this and this and this. Cool. There's 2 days worth of work. Now you're back on top. Or there's 5 days worth of work. Now you're back on top. Or sometimes there's a day's worth of work. Now you're back on top. And I think too often people don't see the forest from the trees. So one of the greatest examples is I'm too busy to make phone calls to hire, but I need a hire. So it's like, okay, so if you took 8 hours out of your busy day, your busy time, your busy week, and made 100 phone calls and you found one person, That one person gets you back 40 hours every single week for the foreseeable future. So your 8 hours just got you back 40 hours a week. So it's crazy when you talk about it like that, but too often we're spending time trying to, let's say you are really busy, you're trying to catch up. And the smartest way to catch up is to get some more labor in, because you are only one person that can only do so much, or your team are only X amount of people that can only do X amount much. But when you grow that team and when your serviceability grows like with the demand, that's the best growth you can have in the business. You don't want demand to exceed supply too much, or supply to exceed demand too much. You don't want to have so much work that you can't supply the labor for it, because that is going to cook your product. Like, your product needs to remain consistent and excellent throughout. Your product has to stand the test of time. You have to be able to service your customers. Also, you don't want your supply to outweigh your demand. You don't want you to have 500 hours of labor and you're only filling 300 hours of the cup. So there's a balance you've got to sort of get right. And it's so interesting to talk about, because you can see it when we close a week. You can see it on everyone's week. You can see it. You can see what's happening. But like, I want you to understand you're in a supply and demand struggle every single day, every single week. So can you service the demand out there? Does the demand outweigh the service, or does the service outweigh the demand? Do you have enough hours to fill the week? So are you short on labor, or are you too heavy on labor? Both are incredibly bad. When you're too busy, like I said before, your product can drop, because people are rushing. You can't be in two places at once. You're omnipresent. But when you're too quiet, you are literally watching your money float away. Now, it's interestingly enough, on site, you can be fully present, right? So on site, you're hopefully fully present, besides some phone calls back and forth. But let's say on site, you can be fully present. I'm roughing in this, I'm doing that. In the office, you can be omnipresent. You can be across multiple jobs at once. You can be looking at that plan, looking at that plan. You can be quoting that job, then quoting that job. You can be across state. You can be interstate quoting, if that's making sense, then run. You can be in the invoicing. You can be in the quoting. You can be across this. You can be doing this. You can be taking that phone call. You can be back and forth. You can have sort of control like a puppeteer over people's schedules. Office, omnipresent. Site, you have to be fully present. It's hard to do these things from site. The money is made or lost in the office, but the office is only relative to have you caught up. So I would even encourage anyone, if you're feeling behind, if you're feeling lost, if you're feeling disheveled, if you're feeling rattled, if you're feeling blah or gah, you might even say, go get a coffee. Just drive and get a coffee, get a kombucha. Probably don't get a beer. I'm gonna say avoid the beers at this point, right? You don't want to drown your sorrow in a large flat white or a batch brew or something. Don't drown your sorrow in any beers, right? But go and write down. Okay, I'm behind. I'm late. I'm tired. I'm disorganized. I'm cool. Well, what would it take for you not to be those things? You're going to list out 10 items max, I reckon. Catch up on this, behind on that. Sometimes you see people so stressed and they've just got to send 2 forms to Energex. I'm like, just go and do it. Just stop talking about it. By the time you talk about it, you could have done it, right? Or people seem so, and if that stress is repeating through weeks and through months, it's a hiring indicator. It's not a blemish on you or your ability. It's a hiring indicator. So I would stop the train, stop the car, go get a coffee, write out what it's going to take to catch up, write out how many hours are associated with each task. I dare say you're going to be between 1 and 5 days behind. So if that's the case, work out when you're going to catch up. There's no point just knowing I'm 5 days behind, 3 days behind, and then just like, you're just going to keep existing. I'm going to keep pushing forward, because every week those tasks are going to stack up. So when will you catch up? Maybe you take 2 full days off. Maybe you're going 12-hour Monday, 12-hour Tuesday. My phone's in the absolute bin. My phone's been diverted, and I'm going to focus on these tasks so they get done. So it's so interesting. But like, normally you're not as far behind as you think you are. And normally that task can be caught up, whether it's pushing harder in the weekdays, pushing into the weekend, a bit more organization in the weekdays or weekend or whatever. So I would just stop, collaborate and listen, work out what you have to do to catch up, and then book in the time to catch up. Thoughts?
I like it. I like it there. We've made a conscious decision, conscious commitment to, hey, we're looking for some change. We want to make something occur. You want to start at a start line that is fair to yourself. So you're being kind to yourself. You don't want to start with a handicap 50 meters behind the 100 meter sprint, because you're not going to catch up on that. So what you referenced there is really, really important, to catch up on the things that are weighing you down. I think also too on this, I think you want to be really aware also of why these things affect you the way they do. So, you touched on the Energex form, for example. There's only two of them, and it's getting you all worked up. So, of the things that you're behind on, there's going to be certain items on that list that get you more worked up than others. And I think it's really important to understand and identify like why they get you worked up. Is it because it's like, this is such a waste of my time, I shouldn't be doing this, like effect? Or is it because I don't know how to do it? Or is it because I don't have the tools or skill set available to me? So make sure you're clearing the deck, like you said. So we're starting from a even keel, so to speak, from the start line, so it's fair. So we're making a commitment, we're making some change. We're having a look, how are we going to change ourselves and get our week prepared? What is our ideal week looking for? We've got that together. Now, I think one thing I also want to look at in here is, what do we have at our disposal in regards to particularly the software side of things? What do we have at our disposal to actually make our week easier? So I'm going to reference job management software here, because Crowy knows I really enjoy job management software. Insert product here. Don't care what it is, right? Any job management is better than no job management for 98% of businesses, right? There is that small percentage where you can just literally run it off a Google Sheet. It does work. I have seen that. I am going to say your life's going to be easier though if you do use a JMS, job management software. Now, what in here do I not use that would make my life easier in the most simple sense? Now, I'm going to reference a couple of things here, and I've touched on it recently in a number of different forums, particularly into some one-to-ones, and then also in some group sessions within Sparky Coach. Is first and foremost, are your suppliers linked to your job management software? And what I mean by that is their catalog linked, and are you getting fed in your invoicing from your suppliers? Really simple. It takes out a lot of what's happening, what materials did I use on that job. We're making our life easier. This technology is here to make our lives easier. The second one here is the schedule. Because the amount of people who have no idea where their staff are or what they're doing, or, hey, where were we on the 20th of August? Where was the whole team? And you don't know. So what your job management software allows you to do when you're using the schedule is it tells you where everyone was. You schedule them literally to the job. So then that time gets allocated to that job. You don't need to allocate it yourself. Secondly, on this, with the schedule, is you've just now cut out a line of communication between you and your staff members, because you click and drag that schedule into the job management software. They're notified via their app, right? So instead of sending a text message in a WhatsApp group or a email or sending that pigeon each afternoon, you're removing a task that needs to be done that chances are you already have that in place. Now, the third step in this is embrace the job management software with the staff. So get them to be able to understand and utilize it on site. And look, you can utilize it to the moon, or you can utilize it halfway to the moon, or you can just get the basics that you want to get down, right? Start somewhere and embrace it to get it working for you, because chances are a lot of this work or busyness that you're feeling is by design. So you've actually created it. You've enabled the issue here. Last thing on the job management part of all, to help make your business more streamlined, is link it with your accounting software, which is really straightforward to do. Insert software here. And then on that, I want you to think about is, how do we embrace utilization of this. So lean into it and embrace it. Don't fight against it. Make it easy for you. And I'm going to say that the reality is most of them setting up the accounting side of it. If I work backwards, setting up the accounting side of it is literally 15 minutes max. Setting up your team utilizing the job management software in the field, I'm going to say a toolbox once a week for 4 weeks, and you're going to be up to speed with the basics of it all, right? Utilizing the schedule, I'm going to say it just becomes a habit. To learn how to use it, maybe maximum half a day for yourself. And that's probably pretty involved. Then setting up and the syncing of your suppliers into your catalog, so to speak, or the back-end invoicing of it all. Some software we're going to get done in about 15 to 20 to 30 minutes. Others might take a couple more hours. I'm going to say it's not going to take much longer than half a day overall. So you by doing just these few little steps here, you're going to be able to rein back in the amount of time that you think everything's going to be taking. And what I want to reference that for is here to give yourself a pat on the back to make a commitment to what my week looks like. But what you're actually doing is you'll now become more efficient and more effective with the use of your time. So you're more productive. So you actually need less time to do the task that you thought you needed to get done. I think you need to identify, once you're making this commitment, is like, what are the tools that I have available to me to actually make it easier before I even start the sprint from the 100-meter sprint, so to speak, to get my week in order.
Yeah, it's super interesting because I feel that so many times people just aren't as far behind as they think. And this is why Close the Week, if anyone comes into the platform, we just close the week for, the goal is the first step's close the week for 12 weeks. And usually the best indicator is, why can't you close the week? Or my job notes are going to my, it's my old phone number. I don't have job notes, or I don't have materials linked. Or usually there's an issue that's relatively simple to solve that's in the way of gaining consistency. And I think it's good to recognize, even last week, caught up with someone who listens to this pod. So this is funny. I don't like naming names, but he was super stressed about this large lighting order. I think it was maybe 50 or 60 grand of lights that he had to buy, or someone had to buy. And some of them are 8 to 12 weeks away, and he's got to fit them off in 2 weeks. So he's known about this for months. And he's like, what would have you done in this situation? And I was like, Fry, first tell me, I can help you. I don't know, I can't help you. Because he was like, oh, who pays for this? And I was always of the opinion that whoever pays for it puts a margin on it, so if we pay for it, we'll put a 20% margin on it. That's markup, not margin, right? I really need everyone to understand the difference, or at least watch a 3-minute YouTube video so you can understand the difference, because the margin will make you a lot more money, and it's what you're going to reference at the end of every single year. Anyway, I talked about, I was just telling him, what I would do in that situation, I would just be like, hey, if we supply it, we'll put a margin on it, but we're going to cover the warranty of those items. If you supply it, you can make the margin. I don't really care what you put on it, but any warranty items, or, I'm going to be claiming that. I'll be billing for that time. So whoever takes the margin takes the responsibility. That's usually how it works. That's how it works with your labor materials. Normally, if you're making money from it, you've got to warrant it. That's sort of the loose terminology. Anyway, long story short, he was living with the weight of this fit off coming up, but hadn't sent one email or made one phone call for this. And I was like, if that was me, I would have just said, hey, what do you want to do with the margin? You or me? I don't really care, because they're both probably if you warrant it, if you get the margin, you got to warrant it, which sometimes is bad. And it's not just money for jam. And, but other times it's hard to bill for in that scope as well. It's not always rainbows either side of the coin, right? But I just said, if that was me, I would have said, hey, here's the bill for it, pay it, and then I'll order it. So the onus is on them to pay it, and then I'll order it. Or you buy it direct. I don't really care. But there's nothing wrong with getting paid up front if you've got a lump money somewhere. This is where deposits come into it. Clean, honest communication. You've got 50 grand of light fittings. You got 50 grand of switchboards. Cool. Well, you just pay that, and then I'll buy it. And this is why sitting down at the start of the job and working out who's doing what. So if you've got a large job and then the builder said, or client said, or commercial client said, here's the 10 cost centers, put your main switchboard cost center for purchase on, progress claim 2 or 3. So, okay, when I get that in, then I can order it. That's the deposit for it. And then once they're on site, I need full payment or even full payment before site. So you can work and twist and adjust and manufacture your cost centers early, but it's very hard to do later. Like if you've got your cost center for your main switchboard as number 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever, and it's after everything's been installed, you're going to be out a lot of money before that time comes. So the holistic guide is the money's made lost in the office. And the long story short was this person in question just needed to send one email or make one phone call, work out 2 things: who's supplying them, so who's paying for them. Let's say they were. Cool, here's my invoice, paid out, then I'll order. So you're so close, and that would have been, and then you can be honest, right? Then you can, if you're organized, you can be honest. I feel like, not saying you can't be honest at all times, but like when if this is 2 months ago and the conversation's flowing, hey, got to order these lights, they're 8 to 12 weeks away. That's a very easy conversation to have 2 months ago. When I'm looking down the barrel of fit off next week and I haven't ordered the lights yet, and they're 8 to 12 weeks away, it's like, not saying you can't be, it's very hard for me to now say that's 8 to 12 weeks away. Like, because I've stuffed up here, I'm going to say it, but I'm cooking myself on the fry pan because I should have been more transparent 12 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, and I wouldn't be in this issue. So it kind of goes back to that pod we were talking about maybe a couple of pods ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, called the self-fulfilling hurricane. So sometimes you can be living in the fruit of a hurricane, cyclone, natural disaster that you've created. So this is a disaster zone that this person has created by not making a phone call or sending an email 12 weeks ago. So it's so interesting, but had they had to close a week, hey, what's coming up? I've got to order these lights. Cool. What are you going to do? So simple to solve in the moment, and it gets incredibly difficult. Now, the real danger with being disorganized, in my opinion, is that you let people down and that your product drops. That's a real danger. Also, you see people, let's take this in another situation. So the client calls me, ready for fit off next week. I haven't ordered the lights. What do you mean? Well, you want me to do everything? It's like you risk yourself flying off the handle as a defense mechanism, which happens, right? Flying off the handle because you're defending yourself, but realistically, you should have done your job better. So once I start flying off the handle at the client, and that might be subtle, that's going to fracture the relationship to a certain extent. Now, you can only fracture a relationship so many times before it breaks. That's just the reality. I can only let you down a few times before it breaks. I can only send 3 wrong invoices before the communication to get cooked. I can only make 1 major mistake or 3 minor mistakes until that's enough now. We've all had enough now. So your product isn't just what you're putting out on site. Your product is holistic from the first person to answer the phone call, the first reach out to that client, right until the Google review and beyond, right? So it's so important that you can have that one mistake can put a blemish or a stain or a mark, a skid mark on the underpants of society. That is a dodgeball quote, right? Your one blemish can put a stain on your company's reputation, and it's not worth it. And all we're talking about is a bit more office time. That's it.
Getting yourself organized.
Get yourself organized. Lock, stock, and barrel. What's that movie called? Whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Take stock of where you're at, and then we'll see coming up for number 3.
Cheers.
Good times. That's a wrap on another podcast. Whatever you're doing, don't be too busy to stop and check if you're making money. And above all else, you know the rules. Be kind. See you soon.